What is the first title that comes to your mind when you hear the name Telltale Games? Is it The Walking Dead, The Batman, or maybe The Wolf Among Us? Guaranteed, it will never be Guardians of the Galaxy. Instead of blaming bad advertisement, the Telltale's community is to be held responsible. After the release of The Walking Dead: A New Frontier, that left the dirt on both the company and the Walking Dead series, which has always been Telltale's most beloved and successful franchise, players began to lose faith in the company. 2016, Telltale announced their cooperation with Marvel Comics. The community blew up. With Telltale already maneuvering on DC Universe with their Batman title, it was time for Marvel fans to shine. Given the attention of fans being retracted towards the company, the odds were in Telltale's favor. This could have been the chance for Telltale to redeem itself. Unfortunately, luck wasn't on their side, as the announcement of Telltale's Guardians of the Galaxy at the Game Awards resulted in a noticeable percentage of the community setting off the little faith they had left in Telltale. Those who decided to hold on their hope noticed the announcement, but easily moved on. Players were expecting to take on the journey of a front face for Marvel Comics, Spider-Man, Iron Man, or Captain America. Comparing to the Batman, Guardians of the Galaxy are not as prominent in their universe. After release of the game, players were divided in two sides: those who found it to be incredibly underrated, and those who believed it to be a waste of money, bringing nothing new to the table. As the internet can be quite overreactive, I decided to take a look at the case personally. I would not be exaggerating if I claimed that I found nothing but beauty in Telltale's Guardians of the Galaxy. While I had a good time embarking on the journey, with each chapter, the pain within my heart grew heavier. I couldn't come in terms with the fact that this game, sandwiched between the success of Batman Telltale series and the failure of A New Frontier, was unjustly overlooked by the community. Today, we will be reviewing the case together. What made Telltale's Guardians of the Galaxy special? Before talking about the Guardians of the Galaxy, let's take a look at Telltale's formula. Telltale Games is well known to adapt some of the most famous comic series and develop its own interpretation. Their games are designed to represent a series driven by decisions made by the player. Since the main focus of the games is on the choices and their consequences, everything else has been simplified to its core. The combat is made of quick-time events, which is not very well taken by the gaming community, but in Guardians of the Galaxy, they are used for cinematic visuals, some frames intentionally frozen to simulate the feeling of looking at a comic book page, which ultimately makes playing Telltale's Guardians of the Galaxy feel like following the story of a comic book. Five souls from different corners of the galaxy happen to meet in Kiln Prison out of all places. They don't get along very well, but they're aware that their chances at escaping would be much higher if they work as a team. The group breaks out, only to realize that none of them has anywhere to go back. No home, no loved one, no destination. The five decide to stick together for the time being, until they figure out their ultimate goal. Forming their own family, they promise each other to walk a brighter path together. Thus, the Guardians of the Galaxy were born. Drax, a former Colossian intergalactic criminal. After his wife Ovid and daughter Kamaria were killed by the hands of the Mad Titan Thanos, Drax went on a rampage across the galaxy, ultimately earning the title of the Destroyer. He was eventually captured and imprisoned and killed by Nova Corps. Drax is the muscle of the Guardians. He has the soul of a true warrior, impressive strength and knowledge of combat. He doesn't fear death, but rather is afraid of dying unlike a warrior, without honor and glory. Gamora. Adopted by the Mad Titan Thanos from her home planet Zenvoberi at her early childhood, Gamora and her stepsister Nebula underwent excessive training to become assassins, a duo that Thanos could trust with his impossible missions. Slowly forming a bond with Nebula, Gamora grew tired of competing with her and rebelled against Thanos. On the last mission of the duo, Nebula was tasked to be specifically the one who takes down General Tarval, a worthy opponent of her adoptive father. Gamora, mistakenly believing Nebula to be failing, takes control of the situation and finishes Tarval herself, stealing Nebula's prey. Simultaneously, Nebula is contacted by Thanos, receiving new orders to eliminate Gamora. She refuses, but Thanos threatens to torture Gamora if she doesn't eliminate her. Nebula stabs Gamora, sparing her from being tortured by Thanos. Miraculously surviving the wound, Gamora announced herself as a goon, hired by those who would pay handsomely across the universe to accomplish their missions. Eventually being caught by the Nova Corps for her crimes, she would end up in the kiln. She's the ghost of the Guardians. Her stealth is unmatched. Where there shouldn't be noise, there should be Gamora. Rocket. Being locked up for most of his life in the gigantic asylum named Planet Half-World, Rocket the Raccoon would become sentient as the result of being used for a test subject. He would soon meet his love interest, a sentient otter named Lila. Over time, the duo scavenges every electronic part they can and finally makes an attempt to escape the asylum. Unfortunately, it was already too late for Lila, as the scientists no longer had any use for her. Therefore, she underwent lethal injection. Lila didn't make it outside the asylum.
Rocket.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
I knew it.
Lila? No, Lila.
After escaping the Half-World, Rocket became a bounty hunter, eventually met up with Groot and formed a duo. They were both ultimately caught by Nova Corps and transferred to Kiln Prison. Rocket's excellent knowledge on cybernetics made him the technician of the Guardians, going as far as creating his own arsenal of handcrafted weapons. Groot. A Flora Colossus from the planet X. Being the last and the weakest of his kind, Groot would explore the galaxy to seek a new home. Accidentally meeting up with Rocket on one of his missions, the two formed a duo and Groot was dragged into a life of crime by then his only friend and family, Rocket. He was eventually caught as one of Rocket's associates and imprisoned in the kiln. Despite Groot's incredible strength, he is the heart of the Guardians.
And last, but certainly not least, Groot.
I am Groot.
The beating heart of the Guardians.
I am Groot.
He is the one who often reminds them to not distance themselves from their emotions, to accept that it's okay to be sad or afraid, and most importantly, Groot is the one that reminds the Guardians of how much they mean to one another. And last but not least, Peter Quill aka Star-Lord. A human from the planet Earth, growing up with no one to support him but his mother, Peter and Mary Death were inseparable, as it has always been the two against the world. After losing his mother to terminal cancer at only 8 years old, Peter was approached by a centurion named Yondu. who promised Meredith to look after Peter should the cancer get the best of her. Yondu would make him a member of the Ravagers faction. Peter would eventually build a reputation for himself as an intergalactic outlaw and decides to operate individually. Therefore, he asks Yondu for one last favor, a spaceship which Peter would name the Milano. Nova Corps would eventually catch up with the Star-Lord and sentence him to confinement at the Kiln prison. After the group successfully escapes, Star-Lord rounds the Guardians together and offers them to stay at the Milano with him, becoming the leader of the Guardians. From the very beginning, it's clear that Telltale understands what makes Guardians of the Galaxy different from the rest of their protagonists. Unlike Batman, Clementine or Bigby, the Guardians each lack a set of skills that's necessary in their line of work. They complete one another. No matter how many times they try to operate individually, it always results in them crawling back. The game constantly switches between Guardians and action sequences, which results in impressive group combos, emphasizing on the teamwork factor of the Guardians. Every member of the group is trying to move on from their past lives. Gamora trying to forgive herself for spilling innocent blood as an assassin, Drax wanting to come in terms with losing his family, Rocket doing his best to move on from his love interest Lyla, Groot accepting that he is the last of his kind and the life he had at Planet X has come to an end. And finally, Peter coping with the absence of his mother, Meredith, understanding that she is no longer there to hold his hand and walk through the fire with him. The life each of the Guardians used to live is over, and moving on is the only option on the table. The group needs each other, because this team is all they have, the closest to a family, a home, and their only destination in the quest of moving on. The Guardians slowly begin to accept themselves as who they are, not who they used to be. Or at least, that's what they were trying to do.
Holy shit.
The story revolves around an artifact labeled the most powerful weapon in the galaxy, the Eternity Forge, which in exchange for a soul will bring one back to the realm of the living. Star-Lord has been chosen as the Celestial One, the mortal responsible to decide the fate of the forge at the altar, either by charging it with infinite energy, preventing it from ever being destroyed, or demolishing it for good himself. Though it would be a dream come true to bring a loved one back to life, in the wrong hands, the Eternity Forge can be extremely dangerous. Should you decide to empower the Forge, the Guardians can bring back one of their beloveds in exchange for the soul of Thanos already stored within, Peter's mother, Meredith, Rocket's lover Lyla, Gamora's sister Nebula, or Drax's daughter Kamaria. The arguments run deeply within the Guardians. Everyone wants this power, which is the more reason why no one should have it. As long as the Forge exists, the Guardians would never be able to move on from who they used to be, always seeking a path to reconnect with their past lives.
What's up, man? Is everything okay?
Look, I'm no good at this, so I'm just gonna do it fast. I know we don't know a ton about the relic, but the one thing we do know is that it brought you back to life. Don't tell me you ain't thought about how you can use that power.
My mom.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know a lot about me. But before I met you guys, there was someone. She's gone now, but maybe with that relic I can make her ungone. I have to try. We gotta go to Half-World, Pete. I know going after Nebula is the logical move here. I get it. You gotta find out why this thing's affecting you. But this favor, I gotta ask. I ain't told anybody about this before.
If this person means that much to you, we'll go.
Really? Thanks. I mean it.
Should everyone face the grief of loss as equals? Or should some be spared the lesson? Is the power of bringing back a loved one worth living in the past?
Bye, Mom.
As Peter Quill, you carry the responsibilities of the leader on your shoulders. You will decide the next move of the Guardians. Your team looks up to you as their role model. Every step you take will be directly influential towards them. You can choose to be a heroic principal and spare no opportunity of doing the morally correct, which comes at great sacrifices, or prioritize your team over the rest of the galaxy. Help the weak as much as possible, but do not exceed your limitations. Peter promised Meredith that he will always be there for those who need him. But will he go as far as sacrificing the lives of the Guardians to keep that promise?
Drax, what are you...
This is my chance, Peter, to protect my new family, like I never did for Hovat and Kamaria. I told my daughter to never surrender. That is what I must do now. This day, I honor her by doing the same. I will go alone into battle and slice this beast from mouth to colon. He will not have a good day.
Wow! You better do something quick down there! The ship's breaking up!
Please, Peter. Give me this.
Drax.
We're losing engine power!
I am...
Crew can't keep this up! You gotta do something, Pete!
It is what I must do.
Tell me what I have to do.
Hit the button once I am inside. I will take care of the rest. Thank you. My family will be proud, and I will tell them of my best friend, Peter Quill.
You're a hero, Drax.
No, I am a guardian.
Speaking of Mother, I believe the most interesting dynamic in the game is between Star-Lord and Hala. Peter seeks shelter in the little memories he has left of Meredith. His mother's arms are the only place he feels safe, away from the harsh reality. Therefore, when he is ambushed by Hala, the Queen of Kreese, who wants nothing but to see her fallen son, Baldir, again, Peter can understand her motives.
You have no idea what this means to me. To the Kree, our rightful place in the stars shall be restored.
I know what it's capable of. It let me relive a memory with my mom.
It can do so much more than that. You really do not know how this works, do you? You said you lost your mother. Would you kill someone to bring her back?
Yes, I would.
As would I.
He knows how it feels to lose family, how unbearable the pain can become. He can see how desperate she is to see her son. After all these years, even Peter himself hasn't fully moved on. Hala and Peter have mutual respect for each other. Yet they have no choice but to oppose one another, as one will do whatever it takes to bring back her loved one, and the other cannot trust her with the forge.
You took everything from me. I will destroy you and all that you love.
They don't want to fight. They have to. So after their final confrontation, when the forge has corrupted Hala's mind and death is merely steps away from her, Peter has the choice to impersonate himself as Hala's son and let her say goodbyes believing she had fulfilled her wish, gave life to Baldur.
Please, Baldin, where are you? There you are. It is you. My son.
Forge's corruption must be affecting Hala's mind.
I've missed you so much.
She doesn't know what's going on.
I never thought I would see you again. Baldin, we do not have much time.
I missed you too.
Baldin, I wish I could have done more. Everything I did for you. I wanted you back by my side. I wanted you to see how great our people could be. But it is not to be. This time, it is I who lives while you live on.
You saved me. I'm here now because of you.
I wish I could touch you. I have become a monster. Look at me. I want you to remember the good things.
I'm sorry, Peter. I just didn't want you to forget who I really was. I don't want you to remember me like that, okay? I'm still me.
You'll always be my mom. I could never forget that.
You'll always be my mom. I could never forget that.
I love.
Once again, is the Eternity Forge worth it? The power to bring back a loved one to the realm of the living, to hold them, to speak to them again, to regain the part of us that was buried alongside them. But the corruption, the thirst for souls, the blood on our hands, the obsession with the past, the inability to move on, to understand that life must go on. You, Celestial One, will decide if the correct course of action is to sacrifice present to relive the past again.